The Checkpoint is presented by GM Pharma, the first international multinational pharmaceutical company in Georgia. GM Pharma, to serve those who need it most.
Camacho Bajuelas. Today, I'm gonna bring you to Métis, a restaurant located in the Old Tbilisi, marrying French gastronomy and Georgian cuisine. The French owner, Thibaut Flamand, decided to organize there today a wine tasting with one of the most famous and historical Georgian wine companies, GWS, with several European influences. You will see that those two cultures are matching perfectly together, and this, for a lot of reasons. Follow me.
GWS was founded in 1993 on the base of Achinebuli winery, but Achinebuli winery itself was constructed in the years of 70s during Soviet Union period. In 1976, the production of wine was scaling up in Kakheti region, and the government decided to construct in the center of the region, of Kakheti region, a big, huge winery with the potential to process 10,000 tons of grapes. So at this period, Achinebuli winery was the newest and the biggest winery in the country, in Georgia. Then, after collapse of Soviet Union, in Georgia we had a very difficult period, and this turbulent general environment hampered economic situation, economic development in the country. There was no investment, and all the wineries which were owned by government were closed or offered to investors. Then in 1993, situation was getting better, and there was a group of shareholders who purchased this newest and biggest Achinebuli winery and founded GWS, Georgian Wines and Spirits company. And they already started first steps for development of contemporary Georgian winemaking in Georgia. They had very good relationships with France, some relationships with French chateaus, wineries. So they brought in Georgia, they introduced in Georgia the European approaches, European standards. So all this information and know-how was spread in this period in Georgia throughout GWS. Then later in 1999, already some investors became interested with the wine industry in Georgia as well. And Pernod Ricard became, at this period, sole shareholder of the company, of GWS, and they devoted huge funds for development of winemaking and viticulture practices in the company. So they planted 400 hectares of vineyards in the best terroir of Georgia, in east and western part of Georgia as well. They exported first Georgian bottled wine from independent Georgia. They created first wine brands as well. It's Tamada and Old Tbilisi, our historical brands. That was the first wine brands in Georgia in general. But today, GWS is owned by Marussia Beverage Groups since 2013. And Marussia Beverage, this is an international wine and spirits group who has 12 companies in different countries worldwide, different kind of spirits production and wine production in Georgia. Since 2013, Marussia Beverage Group invested in Georgia more than 20 million euro for development of winery and its vineyards. Today we can really proudly say that at every stage of its existence, GWS was a leader and making new initiatives, new steps, and everything was coming from Europe, especially from France. This knowledge, know-how, information, new technologies. Today GWS is owner of 51 hectares of bio-organic vineyards, and it's other 400 hectares of vineyards, others are in transmission process, which means that in 2 years In Georgia, we have some amount of bio-organic vineyards, and 70% of these vineyards will be owned by GWS. Our strategy is underpinned by principles of authenticity, quality, integrity, and innovations. These govern every aspect of our business. Today, our strategy is based on three main pillars. The first and the most important is our wines, their quality and style. So we have different kind of wines for every taste of every consumer. We can say we have different blends, we have traditional wines, Kvevri wines, all kinds of wines we can find in Georgia, and also we are doing, our French winemaker is doing nice experimentations. So we have a new limited collection in the brand of Bismino, for example, which is blends of, for example, Georgian rare grape varieties and French rare grape varieties. The second and also very important is diversification of our export markets. And third is development of our trade marks and portfolio. So we are exporting our products in more than 25 countries worldwide, and we are trying to increase this number annually. GWS, during his history as well, exported Georgian wine in many countries, first time, and popularized Georgian wine in general abroad. So we are still continuing these steps. We have our traditional markets, of course, like Ukraine, Russia, Kazakhstan, Poland. We have new markets which are very interesting and important in Asia, especially China, Hong Kong, Singapore, Taiwan. USA is also a new and very strategic market, and we have, we can say, prestigious market in Western Europe, France, Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and so on. And our brand's architecture is quite strong as well, and they are in different segments, like from super premium, premium, upper mainstream, mainstream, and entry level. So they can respond to the demand of every consumer for their style of wine or pricing. For pricing as well, it's very important. We are using international methods to segment each brand. It can be premium or upper mainstream or super premium. So it's all is done by European standards. It's very important to make wine tastings in restaurants, in wine bars, for consumers, for customers, for sommeliers. This is one of our important principles to make, to educate markets. Because during the Soviet Union, we can say that consumption of wine and style and situation of consumption changed very much. And now people are very interested in Georgia to know more, to understand more how to taste on a European style more. And we are trying as well to meet our partners, to make tastings, to explain our wines more, to explain our quality. And so we are quite often making this kind of tastings. And our marketing and sales staffs were graduated by WSET level 2 or level 3 from a school, a French school, Académie du Vin. So they know very well the standards of tastings, and they can explain very well our products.
We took over this restaurant a year ago. It's been existing since 2017. My partner and I, we've traveled a lot, and we love Georgia, and we've decided to bring some of our travels here and make a mix of the things that we like. And we have some French food with a Georgian twist, and we're always trying to make the cultures talk and work well together. So métis in French means the mix of cultures. And our idea is to make a place that is home to everyone. So we have Georgians, we have tourists, we also have expats. More and more, Georgia is attracting a lot of expats or digital nomads. And those digital nomads, we want them to meet. We want them to meet with tourists. We want them to meet with Georgians. It's a great place to exchange about your travel tips, your guides to Georgia, and all these sort of things. So French and Georgia have food skills and food cultures that talk very well together. We have very similar ingredients, we have very similar tonalities in our food, and we're able to mix them in a way that makes them even better together. Some examples, we have like a beef bourguignon rincali. We use, in France, beef bourguignon would be with Burgundy wine, but here we use saperavi. And it gives a lot of earthiness, a lot of texture to our food. And the rincali, of course, is extremely Georgian, and so we use that format to serve our food, to serve an untraditional French and Georgian beef bourguignon. The logo is a snail, and instead of the shell, we have a rincali on top. Because the first time I came to this restaurant, and I wasn't owning it yet, I had the snail rincali. I was like, wow, what a brilliant idea. It's a perfect mix of two cultures. And we took that, and because it's something that we're really attached to, we've made it our logo now. And what's really interesting is the snail rincali has a very long history in Georgia. It was introduced in the early 1800s by missionaries, by French missionaries near Ahalsike. And they brought snails, they started the snail rincali, and so this métissage, this mix of cultures, has been existing for at least 2 or 3 centuries in terms of food and rincalis.
So food and wine pairing is very important for us because an ideal match of food and wine can provide more pleasure than separately wine or food. So that's why there are a lot of examples. For example, one of the best examples is oysters and champagnes, which we all know that it's a perfect match. But in general, there is some elements of taste in wine and elements of taste in food, like acidity, salty, sweetness, and so on. Now we can taste these elements in wine and in food and choose which is the perfect match.
Georgia is for sure the birthplace of wine. We are producing wine here for more than 8,000 years, but European techniques are helping the Georgian wineries to develop themselves on a daily basis. A perfect match, proving that those two cultures are decidedly really complementary.
The Checkpoint is presented by GM Pharma, the first international multinational pharmaceutical company in Georgia. GM Pharma, to serve those who need it most.